Meat City, baby.
Hello and welcome back to Meat City Gaming. JD here with part 3 of my Ultramarathon Extreme Achievement Guide for Frostpunk. This is the endless mode where you have to survive for 100 days on the extreme difficulty. And in the previous video, we just finished surviving the first storm. So we had 2 parts, building up that first kind of establishing the base, early technology, early build order to get ready for the storm. And then we had that final push up to and through the first storm. And so we're picking up here after that just ended. And if you're here, if you've made it to this video, you've survived the first storm, and you're anywhere close to this build, you're almost there. Now it's just kind of grinding out the clock and going for that 100 days. That first big push is the huge hurdle. There are just a couple of tiny little things left that could trip up your run and prevent it from being successful. So make sure you throw down a save here. Again, if that storm ends, you're in decent shape. You don't have 100 sick people and everybody starving and dying. If you're relatively stable, make sure you save and don't overwrite that save. You want to come back here because it's going to take a pretty big mistake to mess up your run from here. The first thing we need to do is transfer back into a functional town again, right? We kind of batten down the hatches to survive that storm. And so we want to open everything back up and make sure we redistribute everybody and we get all of the levers and the knobs, everything that we twisted and changed to survive the storm now goes back into operational mode. First and foremost, what you want to do is get your scouts out the door and into the Frostland. And once again, depending on your situation, if you have a ton of sick people, I would recommend using the sick trick. You can have everybody working, so you have no idle workers, then dismiss 5 sick people from their job, so you only have 5 idle workers that are sick, and then you make the scout team and they'll become the scout team and they'll go out. And that will pull 5 of the sick people out of the queues in your medical attention, your medical facilities back home. When they return, they will be sick, so again, keep that in mind. But as we develop here, we're going to get better and better heading into the storm, and so the scout team coming back sick is much easier to deal with than trying to deal with those last 5 sick people right now. That first storm was probably pretty rough on the amount of sick people that we have in the population, so it is vital that we get that number down as soon as possible. There are variations in how the temperature recovers from a storm. It can be like really quick all at once, or it can be kind of segmented over a couple of days where it gets warmer and then warmer and then warmer. So take advantage of the time while you can to get back ahead of the curve for those sick people. Get everybody into a medical tent if at all possible. Even if it's just one engineer running the tent, if you have the overcrowding ability, which I took early in my build, you can get 10 people into a medical tent with just one engineer in there, and it'll be slow, it'll be really inefficient, but better than having them there than having them not get treated, in which case they will die in 24 hours or very closely after that. So you can go a little bit slower on the research. You obviously, it's ideal to have 5 engineers in one workshop and at least 1 engineer in a second workshop, so you're getting that research bonus, but make the sacrifice. If you're gonna have 3 engineers researching for the first day, that's fine if that's what you need to get your population back out of those medical tents. Also, watch the temperature. It's nice to dial back down the generator and the power levels and all that, but if you make the temperature colder in your medical tents, they're less efficient than if the temperature is higher. So also take a look at that. Oh, if I just run it for 1 more day, they're only gonna be sick for 12 hours and then they'll be out of there. And then I can start to turn off those medical tents and save on my coal usage. Another big priority is food production. The storm shuts down your food production, whether it's hunting houses or hunting huts, or if it's hot houses, they don't work during the storm. You can't have the people in there during the storm because it's so cold that they will freeze and get sick and die. So I disable the building, which I think is enough, but I also pull them all out. I unassign all the workers. You probably don't need to do that as well. Just disabling the building, I think, prevents them from showing up for work, but I wanted to make sure. So you need to re-enable the buildings. You need to get the people back in there. If you turn the heater off, make sure you turn the heater back on. If you adjusted the hours, readjust the hours. Certainly for food production early on here, you might be a little thin in terms of, you might have run out of food, and so you need to get it going quickly. So I would recommend an extended shift on the hothouses to get a little bit of extra food production here going early. Don't forget your cookhouse. If you shut the cookhouse down, you'll also need that up and running in order to turn that new food coming in into rations. We only had enough steam cores to build 2 hothouses, and that's enough for your starting population and maybe 1 additional set of citizens that you can get, possibly 2 with the extended shift. I think you're okay if you do the soup rations, but if you get a 3rd set, and regardless, you probably have enough people to do this anyway, I would get a hunter hut up and running so that you have additional food coming in. One of the things that we want to do, if possible, it's not a gotta have, but it's a nice to have, get the full regular rations going. Get off of the soup, get to the regular meals, and in the laws, if we can get to Moonshine, that's gonna be even better, because then if you're serving regular meals and you have the Moonshine law passed, you're gonna constantly, I think it's Hope that you'll get to generate, which is one of the few places that you can get Hope in these runs. I also shut down the wall drill during the storm because it was kind of off on its own. I didn't want to run a steam hub just to operate the wall drill. So we were running double production on the steel mill. We had 2 of those going because they're in close proximity to the coal thumpers. So steel is great. I'm in great shape right now. It's actually one of the mistakes I think I make in this section of the run. I pushed for the steel advancement. I went at least the 2nd level, and then I went to the 3rd level to get the advanced steel mills, and we're ahead of the game on steel. So I definitely could have invested those resources elsewhere at this point in the run. Steel is far ahead, so shift, even if you have to shut 1 or both of the steel mills down, make sure that wall drill is up and running. You need wood production very quickly here, especially if you fell behind during the storm. And then, as I mentioned briefly before, we want to make sure all of the other little tweaks that we made are updated. Did you shut down a building? Did you change the hours? What is your generator power output? Did you have the overdrive running? Make sure we kill the overdrive before the generator blows, right? Conserve resources wherever possible. We want to stockpile coal right now. We don't want to be pushing to the limit. Again, other than if you have a ton of sick people and maybe you want to push for that first 24 hours to try and get the sick population down, and then you can lower your heat limits and try and conserve some coal, because we want to build up. Again, running out of coal, running out of heat, that is the only place where you can really screw this run up. Heat, coal, and food in terms of having the city crash once you've survived that first storm in pretty good shape. The main objective for this 2nd storm cycle, as I'll refer to it, is to continue to advance the tech tree, especially in terms of coal production and heat generation or warmth, because as the 100 days progresses, even after this first storm, it will get progressively colder. The normal days toward the end of this cycle will be close to the storm conditions of the first storm, and the 2nd storm is going to be colder than the first storm. So just maintaining isn't quite enough. We need to keep advancing. So we need things like improved coal production. One of the first things I do is get down steam coal thumpers so that the coal pile can get bigger and it produces coal much faster. So now you can kind of move those workers. When you have the steam coal thumper, you can put the 10 people in there, you can make that pile full, and then you can pull those 10 workers out and put them on a gathering post or put them somewhere else to get that pile worked down over the next day or so, and then shift them back. So you can kind of run a coal thumper with 10 people instead of 20. That 10 produces the coal pile and then jumps to a gathering post. Again, I would have more gathering posts than just the one operating, but you get the idea. We also want to be increasing our heat output and our installation levels. So we want the next generator power upgrade, Gen Power 1 we had before the first storm, try and get Gen Power 2 before the second storm. Improving your heaters, both the efficiency for reducing their coal, and if you can get to the next level, I think we have improved heaters already. We want advanced heaters, if possible, to go into the next storm as well. Improve your insulation. Gathering posts should have improved insulation. Medical facilities should have improved insulation. Some of the other ones are a little less vital, the hothouses and all of those, but you want to get them eventually as well. We want to prevent people from getting sick in the first place, and if they get sick, we want them to be back on their feet as soon as possible. A side goal for this storm cycle, and it's a pretty important one, but one that I completely whiff on in this run, so it's not vital by any means, is finding steam cores. We started the run with 3 steam cores and we used them all up. You need 1 for each hothouse, so that's where 2 of them went, and then 1 for the wall drill. That's all 3. So you can use that save trick that I talked about earlier. When you have your scout team back up and running, you'll have, in the second storm cycle, you'll have new locations to go to outside the city. You can throw down a save and then you can explore. Have your scout team go to the first location and check the second location. Is it one that has steam cores in it? No, reload and try a different location if you want to be super aggressive about it. I will have a list in the description of the locations that have the steam cores, so you can take a look there and save yourself some hunting. But as I mentioned, I didn't find any steam cores in my run for this second storm cycle, so you can survive without it. But it would be really nice to have so that we can put down another hothouse. They are definitely the best early efficiency in terms of producing food. You have a bunch of children workers, it's one of the few places they can go, and you only need 10 of them compared to 15 regular workers for a hunter's hut, and you have to do all the upgrades for the hunter's hut. So hothouses, better to increase our food production, because we also want to continue to increase our population total so that we have those workers available to run all of the stuff that needs to get run. In addition, the big ticket item, of course, is getting an infirmary down. If you get an infirmary down, you massively reduce the amount of time it takes to take a sick worker and make them better. And so it doesn't make any sense to research the infirmary because you don't have a steam core available. But the second that my scout team finds a steam core location and they're heading to it, I'm researching infirmary so it's ready to build as soon as they return home. Ideally, you're gonna want 2 of these with the overcapacity. That will mostly prevent any issue in terms of people not having a place to go when they're sick. But early on, getting 1 is plenty, especially for the build up here. That means, and the 10 people that get sick overnight, they're better by noon the next day, and you're really ahead of the game, and sick population stops becoming a huge issue, other than 1 or 2 spikes during weird events or storm cycles. The other thing that is high on the list is improving the wall drill. Wood is a constant source or lack of a resource that we have access to, and so improving the wall drill with another steam core means you don't need additional workers, and you drastically increase the output of your wood resource, and that's one of the things that really drives the continued advancement of the town. In terms of laws, things have loosened up pretty well here. I would put a push on the, I think it's righteous denunciation or denunciation, the one where you go up, I think it's after you get the temple, you can get this one. And basically, it means that every so often you get free resources. You get a tip from a believer, and they provide you with the location of some resources that just get added to your stockpile. If it's food, great. That just helps increase the stores. If it's wood, if it's steel, like whatever it is, if you're getting free resources every day or every other day, that's great, and there's no downside to it. On top of that, if you want to continue to do things, again, if you're going down the religious path, that increase hope, whether it's a prayer or it's the captain's words or whatever it is, anything that you can do to cycle and improve hope is very good, because this is a fringe concern, but whenever a new storm comes in, it tanks your hope, and if it ever gets too low, they'll put you on the clock to improve it, and if you don't have the tools to improve it, that could be one of those 2%ers that ends the run. So even eventually, I would recommend you take that top religious law, the new order, or whatever it's called, because then hope is gone. It's solved and you don't need to worry about it anymore. I wouldn't do that early. Wait until you really have like, oh crap, my hope got tanked and I'm in trouble, then push the button on that law, because it usually does cause some deaths, people that revolt against the passage of that religion, and so you'll lose some people. So I wouldn't pass it willy-nilly, but if you get stuck, if your hope tanks, go ahead and bite the bullet, maybe after you get your next set of citizens in, and now you've got enough of a cushion where you can lose a couple and it's not really going to affect the efficiency and operation of your town. And that's mostly it. You're just sending that scout team out, hopefully looking for some steam cores. You're improving your production and your research back home, and you're going to be in good shape. As your people get better, pull those engineers out, you can have 4 workshops running, and you can just burn through those researches, 1, 2 a day, and really get ahead of the curve here. That's where he said things stabilize if you got yourself into a good position where there's not a bunch of peaks and challenges anymore. Now it's just, we had the initial tight curve, and now we have a very steady, gentle slope, and soon after that, we're gonna plateau, and we're just gonna be good to go because we have everything researched and we'll be ready to roll. So when the storm does show up, again, we've done this before, same thing now, but hopefully with additional people and with additional resources. We do wanna have houses researched and built, if at all possible, to help keep our people safe during that second storm. Again, you can shut down the hot houses, get your people out of there. Shut down the hunter huts, get your people out of there. You're probably shutting down the wall drill. If you can keep it operational, great, but don't run it if it's cold and you're gonna get a bunch of people sick and if you don't have the coal production to do it. 2 steam coal thumpers, 4 or 5 of the gathering posts on it. You can again run your steel mills at this time because that's all covered by just one hub. Hopefully you've got a shrine down on top of that location to improve everybody's efficiency. Keep the steam hubs running during the day. Save your overdrive for that last 24-hour push just in case you need it if you get a double temperature drop to finish strong on that second storm. Make sure the scout team comes home as well. Don't let them perish out in the frost. And again, we're just going through what we did before for the first storm, but hopefully in better shape. And when we come out of this one, we should be really strong to roll right into the third storm cycle. And again, after that one, then you're on cruise control mode. So I would prioritize, if at all possible, getting the more scout research done, because now we want to have 2 scouts going out. If you can do that during this run, then you're ahead of the game, you're ahead of me. But definitely by the next one, because now we want 2 scouts and we want them faster so that they can find those resources, find those steam cores as we continue our push for that 100-day survival and Ultramarathon Extreme here in Frostpunk. Hopefully you're enjoying the video. Hopefully it's helping you out on your own run. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.
with us as we labor today.